Well, I'm out here on the beautiful Touchwood Lake out here in Northern Alberta, and I'm here to do some canoeing and maybe, just maybe, sneak into a Canadian Armed Forces missile range. Geez, I hope nothing goes wrong. Well, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, I'm about to canoe Touchwood Lake. As you can see, Touchwood Lake is right behind me, and I'm going to canoe it. This lake is in the Lakeland Provincial Recreation area, which is right next to Lakeland Provincial Park, where I was just canoeing, where I canoed the Lakeland canoe circuit. I came here to go camping, but the lake looks so nice, I felt like I had to canoe it. Not only that, I seen connected to this, there's a portage that leads to the Canadian Armed Forces missile range. The air weapons range is what it's called, and a lake that I forget the name of right now. I feel like since I'm here, I need to paddle to the armed weapons range. So that's my goal today. So I got my canoe here. It is on wheels. I'm on this little sandbar, about to go out. I'm going to canoe straight across to where I believe the portage is, and then we're going to try to portage. I don't know the quality of the portage, and I'm a bit of a quitter, so if it's too hard, if it's muddy, if it's hilly, I might pack it in early. But the plan is we're going to the Armed Forces Air Weapons Range in this canoe, yeah, on Touchwood Lake. So that being said, let's go. As I head out across the middle of Touchwood Lake, let me tell you a little bit more about why I'm here. As I mentioned in the open, I had just spent 3 days canoeing on Alberta's only canoe circuit, the Lakeland canoe circuit. And after getting off the lakes, I had two options to choose from. Head straight back to Lakeland or drive the 10 minutes further up the road to see what this Touchwood Lake was all about. And as I crested the little hill before the campground, my view of the lake opened up, and I decided in that moment that I was definitely camping there. This was the first time I had seen a lake with clear water in at least a week. After spending 3 days on the green algae-filled sludge water of the Lakeland canoe circuit, and after seeing the toxic algae-filled waters on Astoten Lake and on Lakeland on the way up, the clear waters of Touchwood Lake were screaming my name. I camped here for a couple nights until the long weekend rowdies started showing up. But this was a great place to recharge my batteries and to avoid spending more time in Lakeland, which is a place I'm not looking to shame, but I am trying to canoe into a missile testing range instead of going back to. So there's that. Okay, so I've officially pulled up onto the far end of Touchwood Lake. It took 5.6 kilometers for me to cross over, just over an hour and 6 minutes, I believe was my time. And I was paddling pretty fast. I did feel pretty exposed being out in the middle of the lake. So I think either I'm gonna hug this shore on the way back or maybe that shore and cross over at a closer point. That being said, I am now over here. And if you look over here, that is the portage. My cart is already there. I did see some people that I guess they're camping over here. I just saw them walking over there with bottles of water. So I assume they're hiking over there. So I guess this is not super, I guess it's well traveled, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I'm optimistic that it isn't going to be that bad. It does not look very hilly. You're probably not going to be able to see. But as you come across, this was it looked like the least amount of elevation of anywhere on the lake was right here. So optimistic that this is going to be a decent portage. With that being said, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 90% sure that I forgot socks. So I'm going to have to wear either my hiking boots without socks, or I'm going to have to wear my water shoes, not my Crocs, but my Coast shoes from Canadian Tire, to do this portage both ways. And it's on the map, it says it's 3.3k, so that's gonna be 6-7k without socks, and I feel like that's not gonna be good. But I'm here and I likely don't have socks, so it is what it is. So with that being said, I'm gonna load this canoe onto that cart and we are going to see if we can get into a missile range. Let's go. So canoe is officially ready, and I did not pack socks. I had socks and shoes on when I packed my bag, so I did not think about socks. But then I left those shoes and socks in the van, so I'm left with no socks in these outbound coast shoes. So it is what it is, and we're going up there, so let's go. Forgetting my socks was a bad way for me to start this portage. This portage is marked on the map at 3.5 kilometers, and the only report I could find online described it as a death march. So I was already concerned before the socks. And my concern level only grew with every one of these steps. Well, I've just come across a giant bear poo right there. It might not be giant, but it is definitely a bear poo. Not super fresh. But I will say I am a lot more concerned about this portage now than I was when I left. There was a fork back there, and I decided to go right. It seemed like the right move. Anyways, it has quickly become a little less well-traveled, and that doesn't make me feel that confident. So I don't really know what to say, but we're going to continue for now, but we'll see what happens. I'm not a big fan so far. Now with bears on the top of my mind, my desire to walk through the forest and into a missile range was starting to wane. I kind of had everything I wanted on Touchwood Lake itself, so why am I dragging this canoe through a forest with no socks on to try to get to a lake which is probably worse, potentially has missile damage, who knows what else, just to paddle around for an hour and then drag the canoe straight back through bear country just because? So as this trail starts to slowly deteriorate below me and the one in front of me starts to look more overgrown, it's becoming pretty clear that this has been a bad idea the whole time. Well, I have got to a point where the portage is starting to get pretty overgrown. It has been a little overgrown in a few places, and I have now passed 3 sets of bear poo, and obviously I'm by myself, and I'm not feeling very comfortable in this situation. Like I said, I'm maybe a third of the way there, which really isn't that close when you think about it. And I assume it's only going to get more berry and more overgrown the closer I get. So I think I'm going to turn around. Not I think, I am going to turn around. If I was with somebody, if I was with a group, I would feel a lot more comfortable here, because I do think it is doable. It is passable as far as it seems passable to me right now, but I don't feel comfortable doing it. So go back to Touchwood Lake. We're going to go for a paddle. We're going to go for a swim. We're going to save this day. In hindsight, maybe not a good idea to try to canoe to a missile range. So we'll take the L on this. We'll go back to Touchwood Lake, and we'll go salvage our day on the water. So let's go back. With my canoe turned around, I head back towards Touchwood Lake, and I feel good about it. A lot of times when you have to turn back, you feel like you lost, you failed, but this time I don't feel that at all. Honestly, I should have just packed it in as soon as I realized I left my socks in the van. That was a sign. Okay, I'm officially back at Touchwood Lake, and I feel a lot better here. I got my shirt off because I am about to go canoeing again, and it's hot. And I think we're going to hug this shore to the left. It should be, I'm either going to go all the way around the lake that direction, or I'm going to cross at a narrow point. Ooh, look at the fishies. I'm either going to cross at the narrow point there, or I'm going to go all the way around the lake. So, like I said, I'm just going to get in my canoe, head down there. I feel good not being on that portage. Probably should have never left the lake. Anyways, with that being said, let's go. As I paddle off down the lake, I immediately feel back at home. I should have never left the lake. I came here to the Lakeland area for one reason, and that was to go canoeing. And then after the canoe circuit, I was left wanting more, and then I found what I was looking for here on Touchwood. So why would I then switch things up on a stupid side quest to a missile range? It doesn't even make any sense. But sometimes you feel like you need a mission, you need a destination,
but really all you needed was to just paddle around a lake aimlessly.
Okay, so I have pulled ashore, and I have put on my life jacket, my shirt and a life jacket. I was going tarps off there for a while, but the wind picked up fairly substantially. Although, all of a sudden, now that I've stopped for 5 minutes, it seemingly has stopped. But the wind picked up, so I don't want to mess around and put my life jacket on. But also, we're going to cross this lake. If you look across there, that is Bare Ass Point, which I have to say, my kind of point. But this appears to be the narrowest point of the lake. It could be that point to that point, or it could be from where I'm at to there. Either way, I'm crossing right here. I have decided. I have taken a 5-minute break. I've eaten a granola bar. Now we're going to go full go across. I do not know what the wind is going to do. I kind of thought it was going to be around, but it seemingly has died. But there are more clouds in the sky than I have seen in about a week. I guess it's been like 5 days between here and at Lakeland Canoe Circuit just down the road. So the most wind I've seen, the most clouds I've seen. I'm not gonna mess around. If I don't cross now, I'm kind of committing to a huge day of going all the way around the lake. I'm not into it. So we're gonna cross. All systems go. We're gonna cross fast as we can. Once we're on that side, we're safe, we're good. So that's what we're doing. We're crossing over. We're headed to Bare Ass Point. Let's go.
It's hard to avoid noticing the clouds coming in, as the sky is absolutely huge here. That's one thing I've really started to appreciate here in the Lakeland area. The total lack of mountains around leaves you with this weird feeling of seeing nothing but the lake, the shore, and the sky. It's almost as if nothing exists beyond it. And while you're out here paddling, I guess that's kind of true.
Okay, I have now pulled ashore on the other side, and I'm just north of Bare Ass Point. There were people at Bare Ass Point. It was a nice little sandy beach. Wasn't very big, but there were people there. But it was also very windy on the point, so I brought myself up a little higher, and I'm now blocked. I'm in this little cove here, and it is a nice non-windy spot for me to hang out. And I just ate a bagel, which is my last piece of fresh food that I've had. I've been eating out of a bag here and at the Lakewood Circuit, and for like 5 or 6, 7 days now. 5 days, 6 days, doesn't matter. Too long. So I decided I need to get back to town. I need to get back to Lakeland, get some real food in me. Either go to the grocery store, go to a restaurant. It doesn't really matter. I want some real food, so we're gonna get out of here. I'm gonna head back up. I'm gonna hug this shore, and we're gonna bring ourselves back home. Probably 6, 8, 10K. I don't really know how far left to go. I've gone 12K to get here. Yeah, so I'm pretty much done with today. So we're just gonna the long paddle back home and load this canoe up and get back to town. So with that being said, let's get after it.
As I head off on the final stretch of my trip on Touchwood Lake, that's going to put a wrap on my little paddling foray into the Lakeland Provincial Park. Between this and my trip on the Lakeland Canoe Circuit, I paddled almost 70 kilometers over 5 days, had some great camping, great weather. I experienced paddling in a new landscape, but I'm ready to move on. These clouds did end up bringing thunderstorms later this night, so from here I end up waiting out the weather in Lakeland, and then I'm taking my van further, as my ultimate adventure summer road trip still has a long way to go. After some small talk.
How come you're not going tubing? That's a good reason.
That's right.
I've been alone for too long.
Well, I'm officially off the water, and the canoe's already loaded up. So that's it. That's the end of this adventure. I am a little disappointed to have not made it into the missile range. But ultimately, I canoed 17 plus kilometers on a lake I'd never heard of until 3 days ago. And if you're disappointed in that, you don't need to touch wood. You need to touch grass. Peace. I'm doing a bonus clip here. I was just in the famous burger barn in Lakeland, now on the lakeshore of Lakeland, and we're gonna do a bit of a review here. So I got fries, gravy, Napkins in the pocket. And then I got a James burger with no tomatoes, which is just a regular burger, but it has an egg on it. The place also serves breakfast all day, which I was curious about, but obviously I gotta get a burger. So that's the burger. I got onion, pickle, sauce, fried egg, burger patty. Looks delicious, and I'm hungry, so I can only assume it's gonna be delicious. It's also got bacon. I don't think I mentioned that. That absolutely hits the spot. That is a very good burger. That's a very good burger, to be honest with you. Anytime you're in a weird town like this, you never know what to expect. Let's dip into the gravy and the fries. First plain. It's a pretty good fry, to be honest with you. That is a good fry. Then we'll dip in the gravy. Gravy's okay. Gravy's probably the worst part of the meal. But that's because the fries are good and the burger's good. It also came with an iced tea. Also good, but just an iced tea. I'll be honest. That burger is probably a solid 8.5, but a Lakeland 9 is what I'll say. That was a really good burger. I would definitely get one again. I might even go back there for breakfast in the morning. With that being said, that's the bonus clip. The Burger Barn of Lakeland food review. Peace.